Everyone is panicking. People are pushing and fighting each other at the pharmacy and the grocery store, spreading the chaos. Buses and subways have stopped running, and misinformation is being spread faster than the deadly virus that's causing the chaos. Pandemics are brutal. In the 20th century alone, 3 flu outbreaks killed between 50 and 100 million people. When a pandemic happens, what can you do to stay alive? How can you survive a dangerous outbreak of disease spreading rapidly over large areas? Here's how to survive a pandemic, according to science. Being a doomsday prepper has its perks. After all, as Benjamin Franklin once said, an ounce of prevention is worth a pound of cure. Influenza isn't the only terrible outbreak we've had. In just the last 50 years, we've seen HIV, severe acute respiratory syndrome, Middle East respiratory syndrome, Ebola, and the Zika virus. There's a new fear that a hostile nation or group could even bioengineer a killer pathogen to unleash as a weapon. Pretty scary, right? It's a sobering fact that scientific advances in gene editing and gene sequencing have made such a horror possible. Bioterrorism has the capacity to kill 30 million people a year, according to the Bill and Melinda Gates Foundation. As a society, we are woefully unprepared. As individuals, we have to be prepared to save ourselves and our loved ones. Because of bad sanitation, long-distance travel, and the difficulties of controlling mosquitoes, diseases are spreading farther and faster than ever before. According to Oxford's Global Priorities Project, a possible pandemic is one of the worst threats currently facing humanity. So now that you understand how dangerous a pandemic can be, what can you do to cope with one? Well, the first thing you're going to want to do is stock up on water and food. It's a good idea to have at least 2 weeks' worth. Buy non-perishable foods that don't need to be cooked or refrigerated. Hopefully, you're a fan of canned beans, cold soup, and canned ham. The only really good news is that in this scenario, you can at least justify feeding your junk food addiction. Hey, chips don't need refrigeration. As for water, store 4 liters per person per day. Some of that is for drinking, some for food prep, some for hygiene and sanitary uses. Next, buy a large supply of the prescription medicines you take. Some pandemics can last for years. If you don't have your meds, that can hurt you even more than the outbreak, or even kill you. Third, prepare for heat and cold. Make sure you don't rely on modern comforts like furnaces and air conditioners. Get good quality blinds to keep the sun out and reduce heat buildup. And make sure you have blankets and warm clothes for cold weather. Fourth, get yourself a face mask. If you want a super duper cool mask, get the N95 respirator, as it keeps out 95% of particles. A standard face mask is helpful too. While it doesn't block out tiny particles, it does reduce your exposure to the disease-spreading water droplets from coughs and sneezes. Fifth, have the equipment and supplies you need for good hygiene, including soap and bandages. Even if your shower still works, using a washcloth will save a lot of water. And sixth, be prepared for chaos. Contrary to popular opinion, it isn't the virus itself that's the greatest danger, but the panicked behavior of other people. Fear and civil unrest can be dangerous. As society collapses, you could be in danger of anything from home invasions to desperate people trying to take your emergency food and water. Stay inside as much as possible and secure your home with heavy locks. After a pandemic, your world will certainly be different. You may have lost colleagues, friends, or even family. Your city will need to rebuild itself. The more self-sufficient you are, the better. Food shortage? Grow your own, even in an apartment. Transport troubles? Take your bike. Life may never be the same, but if you follow this advice, you have a good chance of surviving, according to science.